beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of BTV. In today's video, I kind of wanted to take you out of the norm of what we've been doing, and I really want to kind of take a step back and make a video that has been a long time coming and something that I probably should have done a while ago. And I decided that the right place to do it would be at my kitchen table as opposed to my office or my couch, because in, POC communities, the kitchen table, especially, in my family growing up, a brown woman, the kitchen table was when shit got real and the magic happened and real conversations and dialogue that maybe we didn't necessarily agree with, but dialogue that needed to be said and things that we needed to get off our chest. And so in this video, I want to answer probably the number one question that I get asked, and that is, can women be drag queens? And maybe it's the universe and the way that everything is aligned. We just crowned a new when I'm filming this right now, we just crowned a new Diva US of A. I just celebrated my 5-year anniversary as Miss US of A Diva. I have a new book coming out called How to Be a Faux Queen. It comes out April 2nd, 2019. And I guess maybe it's just in the air. And so I shared the book cover with a mastermind community that I'm a part of to help make me a better entrepreneur. And one of the questions I got in the group, in the comments of the book, was, is it okay for cis women to be drag queens, or is it appropriation? And this seems to be a topic and an issue in the drag community still, and I think it's even more magnified because of RuPaul's Drag Race, the fact that drag is in the forefront of mainstream society and in people's minds. And I think it also has to do with the fact that the quote-unquote mother of drag, Mother Ru, has come out and vocally said in a tweet, I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe a little bit longer, that somebody asked when, they were going to allow cisgendered women and trans women, women, just female identified people, on to RuPaul's Drag Race. And she said that show already exists, that pageant already exists. It's called Miss Universe. And so I think that kind of started that negative vibe and light, and not that it started it, but it kind of created like this hub, right, where all these people who have felt that cis women, trans women, these people can't do drag because it's quote unquote female impersonation, they kind of latched onto that and kind of it snowballed. So this kind of negativity and this kind of backlash to what I do and what a lot of cis women do in drag has been the narrative. It has been this constant narrative that's been going on more publicly within the last 4 or 5 years. But this has been something that's been going on, and these questions and everything have been going on behind the scenes, but not really, because what people fail to understand and what people fail to realize is that we, cis women, have been a part of drag from the onset. This isn't something that majority of us have saw RuPaul's Drag Race and said, hey, I want to do this, without any prior knowledge or understanding of what drag means. For a lot of us, myself included, and for a lot of the pioneers and people who have been doing drag longer than RuPaul's Drag Race has been on the air, this is a form of expression. It is a form of queer expression, and it is something that we've been doing for decades. The first person that comes to my mind is Phonique, who has been doing drag since the mid-90s, obviously longer than RuPaul's Drag Race has been on the air. Holy McGrail. There are all of these. I don't think she's doing drag anymore. B Dazzler, who, you know, now, or I think she still owns the San Francisco Folk Queen pageant that dates back all the way to the early 90s. Drag for cisgendered females is not something that we just started doing. It is something that we always have done. And so it pisses me off when I hear people say and invalidate what I have spent 33 years of my life dedicated to. I saw my first drag queen when I was 16, Erin Davis, who I have the honor of being on the judges panel for Miss Gay US of A. Yes, the big national pageant. Yes, I'm the first cisgender diva US of A title holder to judge the pageant. And it comes full circle. It is coming full circle for me to see the first drag queen that I saw at 16 and come and be judging with her, you know, 33 plus, I think it's 33 years, 16, I'm 41, you do the math, that many years later, and judging that pageant is one of my, and has been a lifelong dream right after being a US of A title holder. I wanted to be a US of A title holder and be a part of this system before Diva even existed. I tell everybody that I seriously willed this pageant into existence because I did. I wanted it so fucking bad. I wanted to be a drag queen so fucking bad. Not because it was fun. Yes, it is fun, but not just because of fun, frivolity, the mug, the makeup, because that was how I felt as a queer individual. That is the way that I wanted to express my queerness. That is the way that I wanted to express my love of my community and now my art. And so this is a very touchy subject, and I've seen, you know, along with the backlash recently, there's been a lot of support, right? You know, Sasha Velour and Vice and all of these different, you know, online mediums have come to the support and aid of, you know, female drag queens. The labels we identify ourselves are vast. You know, some people hate faux queen, some people hate bio queen, some people it's semantics, some people hate the word queer. I love it. It is what it is. I use female drag queen as an umbrella term to encompass how everybody chooses to identify. I will never tell you how to identify. That is a term that I am using because I feel like it is a really good umbrella term for all female identified individuals who want to perform drag. And so there have been a lot of videos that have come out that have been interviewing, you know, the newer generation of female drag queens. And I'm super excited. I'm so glad that we are getting that kind of platform. But it also is a little bit, I don't want to say unnerving, and I don't want to say disappointment because kudos to everybody. But I think that a lot of what the newbie female dragsters are saying are a regurgitation of things that mainstream audiences or mainstream drag conceptions and theories have been. For instance, drag does not stand. It is not a fucking acronym for dressed as a girl. This drives me insane. I have a whole video about the history and how it is not even possible for drag to be an acronym, that was reverse engineered to kind of suit our needs and that. I have a whole video on that on YouTube. I think it's called What is Drag, or the definition of drag. Anyways, I'll link to it below in the comments. And so we ourselves are guilty of perpetuating this knowledge that is then used against us. And so when I hear other female drag queens regurgitating this history that is not in fact our herstory, I get a little perturbed, and I understand why people are like, cisgendered women are appropriating our art. Because as cisgendered females, even myself, who is queer and brown, I come into the drag world with privilege. I have the privilege to walk into a woman's store department and go and try on clothes in the women's dressing room. Whereas if even in 2019, and especially during the Trump administration, if a male identified individual went into the women's dressing room to try on clothes, it would be all over the internet. People would be taking pictures, all these memes would show up, and we've seen what happens when things do not align socially and systematically with someone's perceived gender. And so I know that I come into drag with the privilege, and what I have always said and what I firmly believe is that I am not a part of drag to erase my fellow queens. I am here to help enhance drag and to show the vastness of what drag is, the evolution of it, and what I can bring to the table as a queer woman in this art that I love so much. And so, to answer the question in one simple word, can women be drag queens? Abso-fucking-lutely, yes, they can. We have been doing it since the 80s. Even before that, I did a whole research. My first book, this was my first book. It was my master's thesis that I wrote, I think in, 2006. There was nothing when I first started out that mentioned, there was no books, there was no social media, there was nothing that mentioned what we do except for the San Francisco Faux Queen pageant. And I had to connect all of those dots when I first started out. And so my first book, my MA thesis, was really everything that I could learn. It was the first book of its kind. It was the first thesis to solely look at females, cisgendered females in drag as an art form in the context, and how we've always been here, how drag has always been a part of who we are. And so part of the frustration for me is that the people who are against or don't see what I do as drag or what we do as drag, they are basing that on a very linear, one-sided knowledge and one-dimensional view of what drag is. And the fact that they see drag just in this and they don't care enough about it to understand and learn its roots and its history. And then they're coming to me or somebody else who loves this art form, who's been in this art form, who knows this art form from the bottom up and is well versed in its history of all drag artists and all people who perform drag. When they come to me and tell me that what I do is not valid, I not only take offense, but I give them a big fuck you, because this art form has been in my blood since birth. It has been in a lot of our blood since birth. And so I think that part of the conversation and dialogue is, yes, women can be drag queens. Yes, we do. We have a big history in drag. But as a queer woman, so I'm not just a cisgendered female, I am a queer woman. Drag is deeply rooted in my community. It is deeply rooted in our oppression and our marginalization. It is a way and manner in which we as queer people revolted and created mini revolutions for ourselves when other people wouldn't take us and see us and value us for who the fuck we are and who we love. I'm sorry, I'm getting upset. So drag is rooted, I am rooted in that queerness. And so I also understand when somebody says that cisgendered women, cisgendered heterosexual women are appropriating drag and queer culture. from the deepest roots of my queerness and my queer rainbow soul, I get that. I wrote a whole article on Global Grind about, you know, when RuPaul told bachelorette parties to check themselves when they go into gay bars, how I was like, fuck yeah, because our gay bars are being infiltrated, I'm just gonna fucking say it, by straight people. They are no longer houses and havens for us as a queer community. And so I get it. Drag was kind of like the last, you know, art or gay bar standing that was really just ours, that was really just our own. And to see, myself included, as a queer woman, to see privileged heterosexual women come in and be a part of this community that I've gotten, you know, bullied and death threats from, and then to be jovial about it. I get it. I understand it. And then if they don't understand the history of themselves, of their own art of female drag in context to the whole of drag, and the history of drag as being this revolutionary way for us queers to express ourselves in our art, I get it. I understand. I don't have an answer. I live with these dualities all the time. I live with these two voices in my head that says, fuck yeah. I honestly really 100% believe that if you want to do drag, go fucking do drag. You have every right. What you do is drag. It is valid. Drag is not about gender. It is about queer expression. It has always been about queer expression. And that's the firm belief. But every now and then I will see something and I will see a video or a post by someone who is, as Phonique would say, culturally queer. They don't identify as queer, but they've been a part of the community so they are basically culturally queer. And I'm not necessarily talking about that. You know what? Maybe I am. I don't know. There's a part of me that goes, as a queer woman, you are appropriating our art like you are appropriating our gay bars. And I hate saying it, but that's a piece. That's a piece. And it's a constant battle. And I think that the way that I navigate that terrain is that I just fucking listen. I try not to assume. So when I see a straight cisgender white woman in drag, I try to reserve judgment and push that out of my head until I meet and talk to them one-on-one. And for me, that has been important. It's been an important lesson, is to not lump everybody together under one blanket, you know, stereotype or generalization. And it's not easy because I'm extremely protective of my community. I'm extremely protective of my art. I'm extremely protective of my wife, of myself, everything. But if I want to see this art grow, and if I love this art form in my community so much, I have to let it grow and evolve in a way that is going to make sure that it is around for generations to come. Now, that's not to say that I am going to forego the history or not preach the history or herstory. That is not to say that I'm going to support stripping queerness from the art of drag, because that will never happen over my fucking dead body. It is a queer art form. It will always will be. But I am open to allowing different definitions of queerness and understanding that and growing myself. And what the fuck did this video turn into? Anyways, all that to say, to my fellow female heterosexual white drag queens, please understand the context in which you are performing. Please get to know your history. I'm not assuming that you don't. I am just asking you that if you haven't taken that time yet, if you only know drag from the stage and behind the mirror and painting a drag mug, go deeper. It will not only enrich you and your performance, it will enrich everything that you want to do from this day forward. It sparks empathy, and empathy is the way in which when we disagree and we are butting heads, is the way that we're going to move forward. I'm working on that too. And for all those who are dead set on seeing drag as this one-dimensional, real drag is, performing the gender opposite. Real drag is quote-unquote female impersonation. That may have been the case in Shakespearean and the birth of drag. That is not true once we got our queer hands on it. We queered the art form into what it is today. It is what it is today because of our queerness. And so I would ask that those people who are so dead set on seeing drag in this linear way, look at our fucking community as a whole. There is no one single definition for any lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, pansexual, non-binary. There's no single one fucking definition for all of it. There's no single one human definition for humanity in general. Why are we doing this with our art form? We pride ourselves on being a fucking rainbow, so why do we want to make drag black and white? So all of this soapbox and love, because I love this art form so much, because I think that this is a conversation that we need to have, disagreement or not, argue or not, it is something that we need to be having with ourselves and each other. It is a conversation that I have with myself daily. And anytime that I sit down to take part in anything drag related, I thank the gods and goddesses and the universe that I am a part of this community in more than just drag, but in queerness and in solidarity and in equality and the fight for it. I want to create dialogues. This is a dialogue. This is me dialoguing with you and saying, I love you. Thank you for sharing your art with the world. I love this fucking art form. I just want to see it grow. And we already have, as a queer community, we already have so much on the outside trying to attack us and break us down that we do not need to attack and break one another down. We're fucking in this together. We are a fucking amazing and beautiful community, and I just want us to have dialogues that will help us grow and enrich and help that community evolve. So I love you. Thank you so much for watching. If you have a comment, if you agree, disagree, I don't care. Let's start a motherfucking movement and a dialogue. Comment below. Give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you're like, fuck you. Well, you know what? Fuck you too. Just kidding. Anyways, I love you. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you next week where we will go back to our regularly scheduled broadcast, and we will be finishing up day 5 of our mini branding What You Do challenge. I love you so much. Go forth, share your art, be the motherfucking slay you wish to see flawlessly. Do it in drag. I don't give a fuck. Just know what you're doing and love one another.